Welcome to Hood Champion Boxing and Sports. In boxing, you find a way to win or you find a way to lose. Good morning, good afternoon, good night, whatever time of the day it may be where you get into this video. Make sure you hit the like button. That's probably the most important thing I need you to do. Come on, what's that shit called? Yeah, subscribe to the channel, become a member to the channel. Follow me on TikTok, Instagram, Twitter. Just follow me, you know what I mean? There's a lot of shit out there. Hey, yo. Hold your horses, and let's stop taking it to the stupid. In boxing, right, if you got power, if you can knock somebody out, that's going to equate to that cha-cha-ching Wu-Tang cream. But I got to understand, somebody need to help me. How Clarissa Shields out here getting this historic deal? Someone help me understand that, right? Because I'm telling you, I've been out here trying to, I want to celebrate. I want to pop champagne and all that shit. And be like, okay, even though I don't like the way she disrespected Layla Ali and Muhammad Ali, hey, something good happening. We got to celebrate that. You know what I mean? I don't dislike her. I just don't have the respect for her I once had. That's all. But nobody can really explain that because it doesn't make sense. You see, boxing is a sport, but it's also show business. So I get it to a certain extent that Claressa Shields does kind of bring a little bit of show business, a little bit of the circus to town, a whole lot of Sesame Street. But there's a formula, right, that I think matters when it comes to boxing. Violence plus personality plus power plus marketability equals money. You got to get in the ring with the intentions to knock somebody out. You got to have a personality outside the ring that's going to make you charismatic, but make people respect/fear you. And that together, I think, puts together a very marketable fighter. And when you have those qualities, you have those attributes, it makes it easier for a promoter to sell you to fans and for fans to look at you and for you to be able to market yourself and grow your profile and end up on huge platforms where you can make that cha-cha-ching Wu-Tang cream. You see, this shit about Clarissa Shields and this, tell him, Pat, tell him, Pat, Got 3 million signage bonus, Because I should have got it when I signed, but $1 million for if you're a gold medalist, you normally get a $1 million signing bonus. So no, I got 3, but I have 2 medals. So really, all of that talking, hot air. Clarissa Shields will never get out of shape, boy, because that woman don't never stop talking. Even I stop talking sometimes. I like to run my mouth, man. For promoters, they're not just going to pay you on your talent alone. If this was really just about talent, then I think Clarissa Shields should be making $100 million. But it's not just about talent alone, man. They pay based on what the fighter can sell. And knockout sell easier, louder, and faster than pure skill. Now, I do understand it sounds like back around the way where she's from in that state. You know what I'm saying? Michigan. Sounds like she gets some support. But then you hear people come out and say, well, they've been out here giving tickets away. So all of this sold out crowds and all of this live gate and the revenue from this and the revenue from that and the multiple streams of income that's coming, all of this talk sounds good, but makes you wonder, what's the real deal here? Because I'm telling you, there's male fighters out here. They're wondering too. What is it that she did overnight? All of a sudden, her promoter, who didn't want to give her that Wu-Tang cream, all of a sudden she hook her with papoose and she could count the green. How about this? Bullshit. I'm a common sense man. I'm telling you, I wish Clarissa Shields would make $100 million. I'm rooting for her to make $100 million. I ain't gonna lie. I think every female out there, every male boxer, anyone putting on boxing gloves and doing this as a job, you should get paid the most money possible. But I'm just telling you, man, sometimes you gotta go and throw the bullshit flag. Something doesn't add up. You know what I mean? Do you know what we call it? We call it trust but verified. So I'm trusting what you're saying to be true, but I got to verify it, and I can't. You know why? Because this shit doesn't make sense. We understand Clarissa Shields' situation is unique. We know what she is. You know what I mean? She's a good fighter. She's a good fighter. Despite being a KO puncher and despite women's boxing rarely producing, high knockout ratios, I mean, you do have somebody like a Christy Martin, a Layla Ali, and you got fighters right now who, if they touch you and they hit you, they can hurt you and knock you out, like Shadesha Green. And, my other favorite, Hannah Gabriels. But although Clarissa doesn't have a KO power, although she wasn't making this kind of money, to just all of a sudden earn a historic multi-million-dollar deal, that shit has fans confused. It has me confused. Look, everybody's confused. Most people, they won't come out and do a video about it, but they sure as hell show up in the comments on almost any and everybody who's talking about this. You look, they show up in there. It ain't the same damn YouTube profiles that's popping up in the comments because they're confused. They're like, hold on a second. One thing is she was out here like the great Layla Ali, knocking people out. That's going to equal money. She's not knocking anyone out. Yeah, she's aggressive. She's like a little T-Rex in there. She's vicious, and she's trying her best to knock you out and get you out of it, but she can't. But she does bring a certain level of excitement. I have to give her credit for that. But I just feel KO power drives the biggest paychecks. And I'm trying to understand why Shields is all of a sudden an exception to the rule. And I'm just being honest. I mean, Paulie Malignaggi was a champion. He had a winning record. Of course, Shields hasn't lost yet. But Paulie wasn't really out here knocking nobody out. And he made good money. But, Paulie ain't make the big money. Even though he was a champion and, he fought everybody, he was brave. He didn't have the KO power. Paulie Malignaggi can knock people out. Paulie Malignaggi would have been a gazillionaire. He just ain't had the power, you know what I'm saying? Now, one thing we need to understand about KO power equals viral moments. When you see someone get KO'd, right, that shit goes viral. And depending on how they get knocked out, can't help but think about Brian Norman Jr. when he knocked out Jen Sasaki. That was frightening. I was petrified. I said, Lord have mercy, man. Brian Norman Jr. hit somebody. He is going to just destabilize and tranquilize him. You know what I'm saying? And that's what he did. I mean, you got to talk about, man, when you start doing these replays, bodies dropping, head snapping, dramatic finishes. You see? Fans don't want to do no replay or no jab. They don't want to replay you coochie cooing. They don't want to replay you tickling somebody. They don't want to see that shit. You want a coochie coo tickle and chicken peck, cool. Let that be for you setting up, man, those shots to drop people, break their neck, break their jaw, create drama in the ring. That's what fans want to see. People wonder why Mike Tyson was what he was, how he built an entire financial empire off the fear factor. How come right now Mike Tyson can come back and make 20, 30, 40 million just because Mike Tyson brought something that, just caught people off guard. He had all the qualities and attributes you need to market a fighter. That guy, Mike Tyson, was just an animal. And even right now to this day, he still has that aura about him. You talk about Deontay Wilder. Deontay Wilder proved that man could lose 10 rounds, but land one shot and that shit will go viral. Why do you think Deontay Wilder's making the kind of money he was making? And Gervonta Tank Davis, whether you like him or not, has the highest live gate in American boxing because he erases people. Gervonta Davis can tranquilize you. You know what I'm saying? Promoters know this. KO highlights promote the next fight for free on social media. So anyone out here saying, well, Clarissa Shields belongs in the category with those guys, to that I say in the most respectful way, hey, yo, hold your horses and stop taking it to the stupid. She don't belong in the category with them at all, you know what I mean? Not when it comes to knockouts and power. Get out of here with that bullshit. Look, and I want to make you understand that I think Clarissa Shields is an amazing fighter. Because people, you won't hear when I say that. You hear all the other bullshit. I just think y'all got to stop acting like she's something more than what she is because she ain't really proving it to me, man. Not to me. There was a time where I saw her, but I started really paying attention to who she was fighting, and I'm like, I guess you can only fight who's out there. So, I don't want to take it to the stupid myself, but the bottom line is she's not knocking nobody out. And 2-minute rounds will have nothing to do with it. If you can crack, you can crack. Problem is she can't crack. She can coochie coo. That's just what it is, man. When you're a KO fighter, you draw casual fans. And maybe even I had to realize this with Clarissa Shields. She's not as big as what I thought she should be because she's not a real draw. Because she brings the intensity, she brings the passion, she's trying to get the wins, but she's just not going viral. You know what I mean? She's got to knock people out cold. And then I think it would make more sense for her to get this huge deal. But people just gonna give you money because they like you. Let me tell you something about them promoters. Their asshole is tight. Their asshole whistles, you know what I'm saying, when they fought. They ain't just gonna come out here and give you no money. Oh, because I like you? Oh, you didn't get money, them millions of dollars for them gold medals? Oh, okay, a couple of years ago, yeah. So, okay, here, I'm gonna go ahead and just give you that money just to make things right. Get out of here. They ain't doing that shit. But I'm gonna tell you, KO fighters draw casual fans. And that's why I think with Claressa Shields, she struggled. Hardcore fans will watch the skill. I'm a hardcore fan. I see the skill. But at the same time, you know what I mean? Right now, she kind of rubbed me the wrong way, disrespecting Layla Ali, so I'm giving her the business a little bit. And I'll be honest with you, I am. You know what I'm saying? She apologized. Maybe I'll ease up. But, that's on her. But as a hardcore fan, I see the skill. But the thing is, for the casuals, which is what you really need to get the casuals on your side, they watch violence. You know what I mean? They want violence. And promoters, for those of y'all who don't know, the promoters are chasing the casuals. That's where the money is. Big gates, pay-per-views, branding deals. A fighter with a boring style usually needs to have an unbeaten record. And I'm not even trying to diss Devin Haney, but that's what some people say Devin Haney. Clarissa Shields. Needs to have star-making opponents. Meaning you need to have someone you bring in the ring, like a Shadesha Green, which Clarissa Shields won't do, to get in there, man, to really make you look good and help promote the fight. Because if Clarissa can beat Shadesha, Clarissa will get a lot of credit. But she ain't going to fight Shadesha. Because, Shadesha is doing nothing but getting better. Shadesha may hit her with them bing-bings. And Clarissa be out there, stiff as a mannequin looking crazy in the ring and get a goddamn clock cleaned. Then you also need to have, if you can't knock people out, you need to have controversy or personality. And Clarissa does bring the controversy. She does have that kind of personality. And that's a lot of stuff that a person needs who has a boring style. But when you're a knockout artist, you just need one punch. That's it. If you can knock people out, that's all people don't want to hear about. They don't even see what else you do in the ring. They just sit back waiting to see you knock somebody out, just like Deontay Wilder. Even if he fights tomorrow, we'll sit back, just be watching and waiting. He can be getting his ass whooped every round. We're like, it's going to come. It's going to come. You know what I'm saying? And that's because KO power creates an aura. A KO artist has something very few fighters have. They have what Mystical say? Danger. They have danger. And danger sells. When opponents fear you, fans want to see. If you'll demolish someone, or if someone can finally stop you, it creates a storyline. And the storyline writes itself. KO streaks increase negotiating power, man. And that's why if she was someone in her last 5 fights, just knocked them out cold, coming in just doing women like Christy Martin and Layla Ali used to do, just coming in, putting the bing-bings on them, I wouldn't even question this supposed deal. And when you look at this, you look at that, I can make up to $16 million in my first year. And it's like, okay, can make up to $16 million, all right. Maybe I would believe something like that, but right now, I don't get it. I don't get it. So what increased her negotiating power? That's all I'm asking. What increased her negotiating power? Where did the money come from? A promoter will give you bigger guarantees if you're the kind of fighter who blows through opponents. If you're making noise, you're ending fights early, and you can headline without needing a strong co-main in almost any major city. Can Clarissa Shields do that? That's a question. Hell, take a look at Edgar Berlanga. He got a big promotional push because of a 16-fight KO streak, even though he wasn't an elite yet. Now that's a fact. Berlanga was out here just knocking people out, and people just started paying attention. He was going viral. Then, of course, he had from New York, but Puerto Ricans were supporting him. But it's because of the KO streak. And KO artists can jump weight classes more. Clarissa's bumping up weight classes, thinking that she would develop this power that she never had. But what really should happen is fans believe power carries up. So if you're a knockout artist at a lower weight and you bubble up, and they say, man, if you have power, you have power, they feel like you're going to show up in the higher weight classes. Punchers can move divisions more easily and bring excitement with them. Clarissa Shields does look, you got to look at the opposition, man. But she has some interesting moments at heavyweight, but nothing to make me see her as the female Pacquiao, going up and down weights and knocking everybody out. Nah, she doesn't do that. She ain't the female Canelo, bubbling up weight classes and still knocking people out. She sure as hell ain't the female Terrence Crawford. Once he started dominating with stoppages, you know what I'm saying? So, again, more divisions equals more titles, equals more events, equals more money, but you got to have more power than the average Joe. And, that brings more money. And I just haven't seen that. And it doesn't it just does not make sense to me. But what does make sense is knowing when you have a non-KO fighter, they make less. Like, that makes sense. I think when you have a non-KO fighter like Clarissa Shields, even though she does bring a lot to the table, you need perfect matchmaking. A boxer who can't punch, they got to rely on that high ring IQ. Clarissa has it, high stamina. She's always in shape. Even though I think in her next fight, she may not be in the best of shape. Defensive skill and outboxing elite competition. So Clarissa Shields has been doing that. But if you win a close decision, the aura collapses. If you lose a fight, no matter how the fight went, if you lose, your aura collapses. And KO fighters can lose and bounce back instantly with one big knockout. And this could be why Clarissa Shields isn't trying to get in there with no one who can drop her. Like, to get dropped by Gabriel, Clarissa said, hell no. I'm not going in here with nobody who can do this shit to me again. And she hasn't. Doesn't matter what she tried to do and tried to make a fight. You got to understand behind the scenes, the politics of the shit and the little shady stuff that they were trying to do. But you got to understand it all. That's why it's so important. For me, I've reached out to a lot of other people for interviews, and some are responding. We're going back and forth. I'm just trying to lock somebody in. So when you start to hear their stories, it's make you shake your head. Like, are you serious? This the kind of stuff that's going on here? But the bottom line is, Clarissa can't afford to lose, is what I'm getting at. But if she loses and she bounces back and she knocks somebody out cold, she's straight, but she can't do it. So if she loses, her whole aura collapses, her crowning jewel of being undefeated and her self-proclaimed GOAT title and the 2 gold medals, and it all goes out the window. Because there are some people, I was a little surprised to hear this. Some people are saying that she's boring. She's not boring. She's just chicken pecking and coochie cooing and tickling because she wants to knock people out. She just can't get the job done. And then, her opponents, as the rounds progress, her opponents start to get back into the fight. So if she's in there with somebody that she can't get out of there, who can hit and keeps their power late and has pretty good stamina like Shadesha Green, Clarissa she'll be in shit creek, man. No doubt. Now, there are fighters who lost revenue due to their style. Guillermo Oregano, high skill, low entertainment. And he had power, but again, there was something people just didn't want to see. Devin Haney, clean wins, but no drama. Getting some good money out there in Saudi, but outside of Turkey, Al-Sheikh, Devin would have ran into a wall. Andre Ward, he did amazing stuff in the Super 6 tournament. I watched that. He beat everybody. And just for that alone, Andre Ward deserves a lot of respect. But again, he had elite skill, but fans found him too technical a lot of them saw him as boring. So skill does not equal ticket sales. That's why a lot of us are sitting here wondering about this multi-million-dollar deal. And promoters have to spend more money on marketing because you have somebody who can't go out there and knock somebody out. You know, I'm going to say it again. Punchers market themselves. Boxers without KO power, they need the documentary, the movie, a press tour, personality-driven promotion, controversy, connections to get on news stations to tell their story. That shit costs money. Somebody got to spend it. When you got a knockout artist, they don't need all that bullshit. Because people are like, where's so-and-so? When is he fighting? When is she fighting? When you don't have it like that, then nobody care. You know what I'm saying? So with that being said, why did Clarissa get a multi-million-dollar deal? Maybe if it's true, which I don't know, right? Maybe because she does check boxes the other non-KO fighters don't check. You know, and this is why I gotta just take a deep breath and be real. You know what I'm saying? I'm not gonna come out here and lie and shit. Supposed to go run this morning. I ran the last 3 days straight, man. So today I'm chilling. But Clarissa Shields is the most decorated woman fighter ever, right? So that's just a fact. You gotta give her that. I'm not gonna talk about what she's done because she tells us that every goddamn day. But what I'll say is there's no other woman in boxing that has the kind of resume that Clarissa Shields has. And that's just a fact, right? But she's not a KO puncher. But she is dominant, historically significant. She is consistent, and she's recognizable. All right. Promoters love legacy. Legacy guarantees long-term value, but they really want to have that power component as well. But the bottom line is there's some things here where you could understand, okay, she doesn't have the power, but maybe as far as adding a weighted value to her dominance, historically significant, can be inconsistent and recognizable. If we had a weighted value to those, maybe some people, the weighted value is very high. But if she had power, none of that shit would matter. Now, women boxing has lower KO rates. You know, I'm not gonna lie, man. If women talking about we want equal pay and equal this, well, all right, give us equal the excitement of what the men give us. Get in there and knock people out. But right now, I do think there's an expectation of knockouts is different when it comes to women. You know what I'm saying? And it's not a disadvantage, it's just the norm. Promoters know that they have shorter rounds, less glove size variation, gonna be different pacing, which all that could lead to fewer knockouts. So Clarissa Shields, I think she's more penalized for not having KO power because she runs her mouth and talks about how she's gonna knock people out. Let me tell you something. It's the holiday season. If you tell us you're gonna give us something, it's like telling a little kid something. I'm gonna take you to the zoo, little Timmy. Little Timmy ain't gonna forget that. That shit is etched in his brain. A week go by, a month go by, 6 months go by. He's gonna be like, hey, MFer, I thought we were going to the goddamn zoo. And be like, all right, like you took me here, you took me there, you did all this stuff, and that's cool. I see it. And I'm not saying I don't appreciate it, but that ain't what I want. I want to go to the zoo to see the goddamn lion. Same thing with boxing fans and Clarissa. All right, you tell us you're gonna knock somebody out, break a jaw, knock teeth out. Instead, you gave us a jab, you gave us a clinch, you gave us a 10-round fight. You got a championship. But hold on, MFer. We want the knockout. But I'm just going to tell you this right here, man. There's probably no bigger name at this moment in women's boxing than Clarissa Shields. You got Serrano, Katie Taylor, but the women are coming along. The women are coming along for sure. But with the men, you can just sit there and rattle off all the big names with the men, man. Tank, Canelo, Fury, Joshua Crawford, Wilder, Thomas. Like, anyway, we can just go on and on the top of our heads, firing off about the men. With the women, you got what pretty much Shields, Taylor, Serrano, Stacey Green. But the names people really know is Shields, Taylor, Serrano. But they're still not really out there the way they need to be. So it is what it is. I guess the good thing for Shields, she's the only undefeated. I had to look this up, but I know she is a multi-division champion, undefeated. Katie Taylor, I don't remember if Katie Taylor fought at different weights and won straps. But I wouldn't be surprised if she did. I probably should have looked that up, but whatever. We'll sort that shit out later. But promoters pay for centerpieces. I'm just not so sure Clarissa is that. But one thing is for sure, she has seemed to transcended boxing with personal branding. And she is a storyline. Every day is something we could talk about when it comes to Clarissa Shields. The upbringing, confidence, the dominance, this whole self-proclaimed GOAT branding, her arguing with fans and innocent people about shit that really she shouldn't be worried about. Talk about her, man, having issues with women because of her own insecurities. That helps to build a very strong identity. And it does bring in viewers, even those who don't watch women's boxing. But it also makes people look at you for the wrong reasons, man. And again, that's just something that I don't know if it necessarily equates to dollar signs. But we're going to see how it all plays out because women's boxing budgets are smaller, but they're concentrated. Promoters, it seems to me like they would rather pay one huge name than distribute money across 10 mid-level fighters. And Shields is a guaranteed headliner, but it still doesn't explain this big multi-million-dollar deal. But if they keep it all right there in Michigan, who knows? Big arenas, co-promotions, and international cards, TV viewership. Maybe they'll start off really pushing it there in Michigan and going viral and talk about the money that they made and the this and that. And then all of a sudden they'll try to look to move outside of Michigan to do some fights in big arenas, maybe a co-promotion, and eventually get on some international cards and try to work their way out there to the circuit for Turkey to make that Wu-Tang cream. So this may be just a step. Give me 5 minutes, okay? You got to take the wrapping off, and that's my little man right there. But maybe with Clarissa Shields, man. Maybe with time. I don't understand it. I'll be honest with you. Something's got to make you more valuable than what you are for someone to come and just want to pay you money that you never received. I don't know, but I think if in order to make that kind of money, I think she got to face hard-hitting females. And they can't be less known. They got to be well-known females, hard-hitting females. There's just a few of those out there. I'll tell you, like I've been saying, I think she should fight Shadesha Green, Hannah Gabriels again, Savannah Marshall. Those three. Those are the three fights that I would have for Clarissa Shields, her next three fights. And those are all dangerous fights, but hey, that's what we want, 50-50 fights. We want drama. We don't want dominance. We want drama. I mean, she wants to make that big money. You got KO stars who made a lot of dough. Deontay Wilder, Mike Tyson, Earl Spence was getting paid big money before Crawford, Manny Pacquiao, Arturo Gatti, Prince Nassim Hamed, Gervonta Davis. Canelo was out here making big money, man. Still making big money, but they all brought something to the table. They were KO stars. Then you got the non-KO fighters who struggle financially. Rigondeaux, Demetrius Andre, Devin Haney, Devin Haney's doing really good now. Shakir Stevenson seems to be doing all right. Paulie Malignaggi is a guy who did okay, but we're talking about the real money, which KO stars make. Then there are non-KO fighters who still got paid, like Floyd Mayweather. I don't care what you say. Floyd Mayweather was a KO artist. He bubbled up multiple weight divisions. Bernard Hopkins was another one who knocked you out. And he moved up and he dominated. Andre Ward, he just moved up once, but he got paid good money. And there's Clarissa Shields kind of falls to me like around what Mayweather became, just more of a boxer, puncher, not really looking to knock people out. Hopkins, Ward, and Shields, they're all kind of the same to me. But what do they all have in common? They all can dominate in their own way. They all had storylines. They all had top-tier marketing. There were viewership numbers, cultural impact, and historic careers. For Clarissa, she does show dominance. There's a wicked storyline that's developed in the last few months, not for the right reasons, but it's a storyline there. The marketing, they're trying. You can see they're trying to reinvent her image, trying to market her, got a PR person maybe working with her. They're trying to get her viewership numbers up, even though it looks like with everything she does, who knows if those views are real or not. And the cultural impact she's trying to have, I just think she's going about it the wrong way, rapping about a bunch of inappropriate shit that a two-time gold medalist, top 1% of her career field, probably should think twice about. But she's doing what she wants, so it is what it is. And I just think it's a tiny percentage of non-KO fighters can really pull off what the fighters who are known for knocking people out were able to pull. So this deal with Clarissa Shields, you know what, man? This deal may not be because she knocks people out. If the deal's real, which I gotta question it. I don't know. If the money's real, maybe because somebody looking at how she's dominated, especially the division she's been in, how she wins the big moments. She's been kind of carrying the sport. They feel that there's some crossover appeal there. They're trying to work on that. They know she has the Olympic legacy. She does, from Michigan, seem like she brings ratings. And for this era, there are a few women's faces who are the faces of women's boxing, but Clarissa Shields' face, for the most part, is a face that most of us know. And I just think promoters need a face in every era right now for women's boxing, even though we have questions about stuff. It really is Clarissa Shields. The other ones, they have faces too, but really everything is Clarissa because everybody's talking about it. She's managed to get the whole goddamn world to talk about it. But at the end of the day, if you want knockouts, you pay Tank Davis. If you want legacy dominance and historical value, you find somebody like a Clarissa Shields and hope that she can work on her power and how she throws her punches, and you pay her some money. But I'm gonna go back to what I was saying. It doesn't make sense to me that she's become the exception for making big money because she's not going viral. She doesn't have KO power. But knockouts drive fast money. She doesn't have that, but she's supposed to get this fast money. Legends drive long money as well. I don't know if I want to say she's a legend yet, but she's definitely on her way. And Clarissa, to me, needs to work on them knockouts. She got to figure it out. But some people say, it doesn't matter about the knockouts. She got the bag, and it is what it is. I'm going to tell you, something about the whole thing doesn't seem right to me. And I said that before. I'm saying it now, and I'm going to keep saying that. KO power brings more money than legacy power. And it is what it is. Y'all keep cool. Shout out to the veterans, all 7 continents. Y'all, I'm in the breeze.